Hey y'all, how y'all doing tonight? Kitchen Chronicles, or better yet, I want to talk about Love and Marriage Huntsville. Apparently, since it seems like we're not going to get the final episode until sometime later, I'm not sure when. So I just want to give my review and my opinion of the last episode. You know, when they had the Black Expo. I'm not picking or whatever. Yeah, I just want to give my review and my recap on that from what I can remember or whatever. Yeah, so this is Love and Marriage Huntsville, TalLit's review. Everything, my opinion, everything's alleged. It's just my opinion, how I feel about it. You can agree or disagree. It's all good. Well, I clean up my kitchen. So the episode starts out with them being at the expo, right? Getting prepared for the expo. And Marcel had already come to Stormy and asked Stormy about the $100. Did she pay the $100 or whatever? And Stormy was like, $100 for what? She was like, no one told her anything about $100. And he was like, yeah, you know. And Marcel probably went directly to her about the $100 because he saw how much room she took up. But she did, in her defense, say that, you know, she wasn't given dimensions or measurements of, you know, what she could or could not do or whatever. So, although, in my opinion, I agree with Stormy. That was very unprofessional. Like, how are you going to come to someone the day of the event and throw them off by asking them for money that was never talked about prior to? Like, that was very unprofessional of Marcel, but you know, what can we expect from Marcel, right? And obviously Letitia, she didn't want to deal with it. She definitely didn't want to have that conversation because I guess she, for one, she knew it was messed up. She knew it was going to cause a problem. And like she said, no one else paid. But, you know, Stormy being a little ratchet, ghetto even, you know, she kind of did the most or whatever. She could have just, you know, in my opinion, she could have just honestly said, I don't appreciate that. This is unprofessional. It's not right. Whatever. If you want me to, I can get my stuff. I can go home now if it was that big of an issue, right? But no, Stormy, she went so far as to say, you don't want to see Courtney. Like, girl, I don't think this was anything to start, you know, wanting to get your husband involved, because it wasn't like he, you know, called you out your name or anything like that. Yeah, you expressed exactly how you felt about him asking you for that money at that time. But why would you want to even incite any type of violence or threat, you know, in that type of situation? Y'all, in my opinion, allegedly Stormy comes off in her confessional and when she's around her family as this meek and mild type of person. But when she's around the cast members and everything, it's like she just about it. Like, girl, keep that hood stuff in the hood. Like, nobody wants to deal with that. Okay, so then after that, from what I can remember, I believe Mel and her brother Marcus, they are in the car on the way to the Black Expo. And Marcus asked her, you know, she was excited. She knew she had another event planned for the next day in Boston. Go Mel, I'm so proud of her. Marcus asked her, you know, what about Martell, or how are things with you and Martell? And Mel just simply said, well, you know, he's probably going to be there because he came to every meeting or whatever. But she says, basically, I just ignore him. And I guess Marcus just wanted to, you know how to conduct himself or what to expect and how Melanie felt when he did see Martell. That's what big brothers do. I'm not mad at that. Yeah, well, what's the status of you guys? As if, you know, he probably didn't already know. He probably just kind of wanted to know how to handle it or whatever. Because he and Martell have had words in the past. So they get to the expo. Martell shows up, you know, he all dapper Dan in his little tight-fitting suit or whatever. Okay, Martell, we don't, at this point, we don't expect anything less other than you to show up in, you know, those really fitted suits or whatever. And I know it's a lot of women out here, oh, he looks so good. Okay, pick me. That's fine. Martell, at this point, in my opinion, after everything that we know about Martell, I think the last thing any woman who knows about this show and who's been watching it faithfully, the last thing you should be saying is anything in Martell's defense. That's just my opinion. I mean, because he's shown basically just what a lot of men are about. And in my opinion, it's not a whole lot of good in that. But you know. So he shows up, and as soon as he gets in there, he's talking to this one man or whatever. I forget what his business was about, but Martell felt that, you know, it was great that he, you know, started talking to him the first time as soon as he got in there, because, you know, he wants his brother, his younger brother, Martez, I believe that's his name, to, you know, get involved with some people who can kind of open his mind and probably change his trajectory on whatever life path that he's on. And, you know, from what I understand, you know, Montez, excuse me, you guys, the younger brother of Martell, you know, he's been in trouble with the law or whatever. And I don't know, you guys, but now, I heard about Martell allegedly stealing ATMs with some family members, his uncles or something. I just heard that on YouTube streets. Like, really? I don't know if that's true or not. That's alleged or whatever, but it's being alleged a lot. So, it seems like their family is kind of criminalistic or whatever. And you know what? Martell, if he only had common sense, he would have realized a long time ago, besides them tight-fitted suits and that nice body that he works out and all this and that, and I know a lot of people are going to agree with me, but in my opinion, Melanie Cherie Rogers was his biggest flex. His biggest flex. But we're going to talk about something else. So he gets in there, you know, he's mingling or whatever. Then we get to, and I'm skipping around because I don't remember it verbatim or in order or whatever. But then I remember the episode, or the scene when he was talking to Maurice. And Maurice asked him, you know, you're not going to talk about your wine? Why didn't you bring your wine stand? You know, he didn't say wine stand, but why aren't you promoting your businesses or whatever? His answer, like a kid, like a 7-year-old kid, maybe even 12. Well, I just figured, you know, I've done a lot of different wine events, hosted my wine to talk about my wine here in Huntsville. I've done, you know, several or 2 or whatever it was, events, you know, promoting Inez wine or whatever. And his thing was, I just figured, you know, I just want to give somebody else a chance. He wanted to give somebody else a chance. And Maurice couldn't have said it any better. He said, this is an expo, a black expo, where people come to push their brands, their products, all this stuff, and you chose not to do it. Yeah, everybody was kind of side-eyeing that situation. And Maurice said, you know, obviously there was a distinct distinct order between Mel and Martell, you know, because Melanie is a marketing genius, and she would have capitalized on that moment had she needed to. But, you know, that goes without saying. Something else I want to add to that, in my opinion, what I've noticed of the show, and I do watch the show, I'm a huge fan, or I was a huge fan. I'm still a fan. I just don't like how things are playing out, if that makes sense. But it seems to me that throughout all of this, between Mel and Martell, the only person who seemed to give Mel grace is Maurice. I remember when Mel hosted the party for Kimmy, the beginning of the season. And Kimmy was like, she talked to Martell, and Martell just seems like he really misses his family. Well, duh, he should miss his damn family. He really should. But you know, he did that. He did that all by himself. And Maurice was like, well, I kind of gave him a little bit of grief. And she said, what did you say? He said, you know, when he came back in after walking Mel to her car against her will, she did not want him to walk her, but oh, well, I'm a gentleman. Man, boy, shut up. And when he came back in, Maurice said, he looked at him and he said, it's kind of cold out there, ain't it? Yeah. And Kimmy looked at Maurice as if, like, why would you kick him when he's already down? Well, he did it to himself. He did it to himself. And Maurice also really not wanting to go forward with the Black Expo if Mel was not going to be involved. In my opinion, I feel like that's because he knows that Mel would have brought so much more attention to the Black Expo. Now, although it seemed like it did well, because Mel even came in there and gave it her thumbs up of approval, right? But Maurice really felt that Mel needed to be there. Okay. So, all right, so now Kimmy arrives. Kimmy arrives. She's just leaving radiation. She looks beautiful. They all look beautiful. But she came in and she said this is an act of love because she says it takes a lot out of her. And I'm going to get on Maurice, too, because, you know, Maurice, you know, I'm not giving him a pass just because, you know, I said he seems like to be the only one to give Mel any type of grace. But when he was talking to Tisha about why she wasn't there at that particular time, she was like, oh, she's probably going to be tired. You know, this is what Letitia was saying. She could probably just sit down or whatever. She's probably mad at me for having you here. He's like, no. This is the last leg. You know, she's kind of breezed through this. And I understand, you know, you being hopeful and stuff like that. However, and he said that she wanted him there. Okay, that's fine too. But at the same time, when Kimmy arrived, Kimmy was saying how, you know, it still takes a lot out of her. You know what I'm saying? So for him not to know that, I mean, for me personally, if it was my significant other going through that or whatever, I don't care. I would probably try to get there early to get the place set up, whatever they need to do, and I would get my butt back to my wife or my significant other to make sure they're okay. Because none of us, or a lot of us, have not been through what Kimmy has been through. And obviously, Maurice has never gone through what Kimmy is going through. So for him to say this is a breeze for her, you don't know. I watched my own mother deal with chemo, radiation, surgery, maybe not in that order, but I watched that. Okay? So I don't want to hear nothing about, oh, this is a breeze. You don't know what it does to your body, but that's a whole nother subject for a whole nother day. So Tisha was like, well, okay, blah, 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 blah. So Tisha, you know, and I probably got a little ahead of myself, but Tisha, when she came in to the expo, y'all, to me, Tisha was walking around like she was over fucking Winfrey. Excuse me, but you know, with the big hair, the pocketbook on her shoulder, which she could have left that someplace in my opinion, but anyway, introducing herself or whatever. Y'all, you know, whatever, Tisha. Anyway, so she came in introducing herself and all this and that and third, whatever. Okay, moving forward. The Whitlows, or the Uh-Ohs, one of my good content creators here on YouTube. They love to call them the Uh-Ohs or whatever. And so I think it's funny. I can't think of your name right now because I would definitely shout you out. But anyway, so the Uh-Ohs, they arrived. And so it's Maurice and Marceau, and they're talking to the Whitlows. And you know what? Don't get me wrong, you guys. I actually like Lewis. I do like Lewis. So the Whitlows, they arrived. So they arrived or whatever. Marceau is looking. I don't know. How is Marceau looking? He's giving that look. But anyway, Martell, he pops up and he's, you know, shaking hands and hugging and embracing Marceau. And he just, you know, asked Lou, is he going to be speaking? And Lou and Tiffany are looking like, well, you know, Tiffany's like, I just heard about it like 2 days ago. And Big Lou was like, you know, no one said anything to me about it. And Martell knew what he was doing. I don't care what nobody said. He knew what he was doing or whatever. And I'm pretty sure they all are feeling some type of way with one another because of how things went down at the baby shower or whatever. You know, they not really feeling each other. And then here we go with Marceau. He's like, why would Tiffany, being 9 months pregnant or whatever he said, want to be involved with anything like this? She needs to stay home, you know, and worry about having a baby. Well, I don't know about anybody else, but you know, I know us YouTubers, you know, us bloggers here, we're pretty smart when it comes down to the cast of Love and Marriage Huntsville, because I believe, because of how everything went down with Marceau, Martell, Big Lou at the baby shower, Marceau had no intentions, neither him nor Tisha had any intentions on inviting them or asking them to speak or anything, because they're just that type of people. You know, they don't, to me, it's like they don't always look at the bigger picture or whatever. And so they had no intentions on inviting them. But let me get on Tiffany. Let me get on Tiffany, because, you know, she will not get a pass. You know, for her to say, when she was talking to Maurice before everybody else, like I said, you guys, I jump all over the place. So if you watched the episode, you know where I'm at right now. But she's going to say, she said, I was thinking about taking a muscle relaxer. And Maurice was like, well, then you could have possibly went in labor. And she was like, well, that might have been good or whatever she said. She said, because I've been trying to get, you know what, the other day in front of those men. I'm like, I don't know what's up with Tiffany being that vulgar at the mouth. I just don't, oh God, Tiffany, really? Girl, you got kids. I mean, you just acting like, and y'all know I don't give Mark so much credit, but he said a Karen. I'm not going to say a Karen. I'm just going to say she, like Destiny said, she don't know how to read the room. I mean, why would you say that? In front of men, married men, and your husband. I was really disgusted, you guys. Anyway, moving on. Let's see. Then, so Marcus, he sees Martell. He goes up and he speaks to him or whatever. And he's asking him, how are things between you and them? And Martell says, everything's doing a little better, You know how Martell talks. Everything's doing a little better. And I think Marcus asked, what can you do? What can you guys do to push things in, the right direction? And he was like, what he said, 3 years of separation or something he said. And then he also said, Marcus, with your help, to help push it along in the right direction or whatever. And Marcus is like, my help? And he laughed at him like, boy, I'm all on my sister's side. Whatever she wants, I'm there for her because we already know what you are. That's what I took from how Marcus laughed or whatever. And then Martell, he gets upset. And, they say, they part ways, shake hands, part ways or whatever. Then Martell is in his confessional saying that, Marcus is childish. No, Marcus is laughing in your face just like the rest of the world. He's just doing it in your face. We on the internet doing it. That's all that was, because you look because you're a fool, right? So he was like, he doesn't really like it or see it for Marcus or whatever. And, they kept bleeping it out or whatever. And I'm like, whatever. Martell, anybody who's not on your side, then they obviously are against you or whatever. That's why, everybody on the show outside of Mel, they still talk to him or whatever, because he feels like for some reason, they're on his side. And I think Queen Sheba, shout out to her, she made that statement, she made that comment in one of her reviews about Martell. I think she was speaking of Arion, but, they go hand in hand, Dumb and Dumber. And she said that they have to feel comfortable talking to you, and they have to feel like you're on their side for them to want to talk to you or whatever. So I clearly see that. And so that's how that went or whatever. And so now let's get to the expo or whatever. I'm not going to talk too much about what they talked about on stage or whatever, other than Marceau clearly being, up there tripping over the question the young man asked him about CV or something, VC or something. I can't remember exactly what it was, but he did ask about it. And Marceau was up there, he did stumble or whatever. And clearly, if he didn't know anything about it, then he should have just said he didn't know anything about it. But, Marceau thinks he can talk to anybody and get over on anybody, because, he's one of those who think he's the smartest person in the room. And Tiffany, she's in the audience, and she's listening, and she's like, see, all he had to do was ask, basically, I know all about that. This pregnant woman here, but because they're so narrow-minded, and because he's so narrow-minded and so angry with her and Lou, man-checking him, because he is, on here acting like a big sissy or whatever, always in somebody's business when he needs to mind his own damn business. But anyway, and I'm gonna go back a little further and talk about Martell. The way when they were backstage and they were arguing, and everybody could see that they were arguing or whatever. And he looks out into the crowd, and he clearly sees Mel, and he was like, Mel is out there. Why she's not back here or whatever? And he, acting like a big kid, like he wasn't gonna go on because he wanted Mel to go on. I guess he wanted it for the aesthetics of it all, and it's so crazy to me and everybody else. Mel don't want nothing to do with you. Mel don't want nothing to do with none of y'all, to be honest with y'all. She really don't. She's playing nice. She knows she know what she's doing. Like Maurice said, she's a marketing genius. Yeah, and I don't blame her. Yeah, I play nice with you people or whatever when I have to. But other than that, I'm not putting up with y'all or whatever. So that's it about the expo or whatever. And then I know I didn't talk about the young lady going up to Martell, telling him about the natural birth control or whatever. That didn't seem like that big of a deal to me or whatever. But then we go to Stormy and Courtney. back at their ranch in their bedroom, Courtney, he just got back from New York from dropping off the shipment, that the shipment that everything went wrong with, the labels went wrong with at the beginning of the show. And, Courtney tells her why he doesn't want her, or he doesn't want to have any more kids, and definitely don't want her to have any more kids, which I understand. The way he described how that, that happened, her losing so much blood, I'm pretty sure anyone outside of a medical professional who had to see that probably just terrorized him. And I completely understand, because I'm like, wow, the way that he described it. And she was looking like, oh, like it was like a light bulb moment. But my thing is, I think y'all probably had that conversation already. I don't see y'all not having that conversation before this particular episode. But okay, whatever makes for good television. And I respect him for that. He said he was willing to compromise with, them maybe having a surrogate, or, going for, doing something else in order to have more kids. And I think that's good if you're willing to compromise. That's very important in a marriage or whatever. Okay, moving on. So now Stormy wants to tell Courtney about Marceau. Now, of course, I get her telling him about Marceau or whatever, because that's what, couples do. You definitely go back and tell your man or whatever, but Marceau didn't, in his defense, he wasn't disrespectful. Not from what I remember. But, and then she was like, while she was telling him, I think you should say something to him. It's like Stormy is so hell-bent on turning this show into love and hip-hop. Like, to me, it seems like that's just where she wants this to go. And I'm just like, Carlos Kane, can you go ahead and cast her for another show, or let some other network pick her up so she can deliver the drama she wants to deliver or whatever. And my thing is, right here, Stormy, you're not even cute to be arguing and fussing like that. And I'm not saying you gotta be cute to do it, but for real, you're just gonna make people not like you even more. You see that? Y'all, that's just my opinion. And Courtney's like, yeah, I'll say something to him, but it ain't gonna be today because I'm tired, I gotta get some sleep or whatever. Then, okay, end of that episode, but then they show clips of the next episode or whatever, where Courtney is actually having to sit down with Marceau and telling Marceau, you always stay in women's business. And Marceau is like, this is coming from a man whose business is women. It's women's hair products or whatever. Marceau, that was a low blow. And that's the best you can do. At least, and I know I hear everything about their business or whatever, but at least their business is kind of known. I've heard people talk about Canvas Beauty before Stormy really came on the scene. I've seen Canvas Beauty, so it's like they have, yeah, that's their business, and there's nothing wrong with their business. They're in a multi-million-dollar business, and y'all, I'm not taking up the Stormy at all. But when you fighting two evils, and the two evils being Stormy and Marceau, you gotta kind of see, you gotta kind of not necessarily pick a side, but you gotta pick it apart to make it for it to be what it is. And Marceau, I'm like, well, what business have you actually produced? We always see you in a dirt pit with some rocks and a hard hat, and you want to take pictures, and you want to do this and all this and that. But like Mel said seasons ago, y'all don't ever finish nothing, and it takes you forever to finish. So I don't know, Marceau, and then he's always on the internet trolling or whatever, and I'm just like, Tisha don't even do this. You know what I'm saying? It's just like whatever. But anyway, you guys, I'm going to end it there. Thank you guys so much for listening to my review of Love and Marriage Huntsville. I hope you guys like and subscribe to my channel. I'll be back soon. And guys, talk to me because I talk back. And y'all have a blessed day. Bye.